Hello, all my JavaScript friends. This is TheVirtuoid, aka Mike Smith, and this is our factory game. Okay, we've been over the game, we've been over the stats, we've been over stat information, and I'm not going over stat cursor position or stat cache. It's way too simple, but I want to cover very briefly the stat inventory system and how that works. Now, what do I mean by the stat inventory system? Well, the stat inventory system is this fourth block. I'm sitting here on my UI. Let's try that again. See the cursor now? There we go. It's on the fourth block that you see here. That's where all the inventory occurs. So if I was to purchase an extractor, for example, you'll see the extractor come up. If I purchase another extractor, that will come up. If I purchase a straight, that will come up, and so on and so forth. I've purchased more straights, that will keep appearing like that. And then once I click on the extractor and place that up on a screen, which I'll place in the middle there, it will decrement by 1 the amount of inventory. And then if I was to put straights on there, I'll just keep putting straights until it cancels out. Notice it disappears once the count goes to 0. So the idea here between the inventory is it shows me what my currently purchased inventory is. Now, where do we purchase the inventory from? Well, we purchase it from the factory store, which is located on the right-hand side of the screen. Let me bring up the whole screen. So there's the screen. The factory store is on the right-hand side. It looks like this. And the idea here is that when I click on it, it will purchase in this case, you see conveyors, but there's also extractors here. And also will purchase purifiers and combinators. And if the conveyors are, there's conveyors. If the conveyor, if you don't have enough money to cover something here, then that will the button will be grayed out. Now, I gave myself $5 million just for the demo purposes, for our demos here. So there's nothing really there, but you're not going to see you're not going to see. Well, actually, let's try that. I'm just going to keep clicking here. Eventually, there we go. You see it kind of went dead there. You see, I see a whole bunch are going dead right now because I'm just, buying a whole bunch of stuff that's needlessly buying information. But that is the store screen. So once we click on the one of the buttons here, it purchases it and it puts it into the inventory on the left-hand side here. As you can see here, I've got, now a whole bunch of different combinators there. So let's go through and see how that works. I'm going to do a reset here, or just a refresh. And let's go over to our code and take a look at that. So for instance, how does that information get there? Well, first of all, when you click on that button on the store, it's going to send an event out to the system. Where's it going? To what system? To the game system. Everything goes through the game system here. And there's 2 different pieces of information we want to take a look at here. This is the inventory add and the inventory remove. The inventory add comes from the store saying, hey, they've purchased something. Here it is. You do whatever you want to with it. And then there's the inventory remove, which comes from the world saying, hey, they've placed down this particular piece of inventory. You need to subtract that from your inventory store. And also there's a third one I completely forgot about, and a fourth one. There's remove active and set active. If you notice, hopefully you noticed, let's go to the store screen here. Let's go to the stats screen so we can see the inventory. Sorry. So we go to the stats screen here. If I purchase a whole bunch of straights here, when I click on the straight, let's zoom in, it's really far here. If I click on a straight, you can see that the straight appears with the cursor. And if I click on it, the straight will still appear there, or a straight will still appear there until I press the escape key. And when I press the escape key, it disappears, or if it runs out of inventory. So if we put 3, 2, 1, there, see, it also deleted when it ran out of inventory. So that's what the set active and the remove active does. So let's go back now to our screen, our code. And so that sends out the information to the stats. The stats then takes care of it on the update inventory and says, hey, trigger all the different callbacks. And the stats UI says, okay, inventory. Yeah, we got the inventory update. And we're going to update the inventory. And when we update the inventory, let's see how that actually works. The update actually works fairly easy. We have an inventory here that actually sets the particular item inside the inventory itself, and we put inside that item whether how much there was in there previously, and the addition of how many the addition, how much they have purchased. And usually that's just one, but there could be a time when you may purchase 3 or 4 if we allow for bulk purchasing at a later point in time. Notice what I've done here. If it doesn't get the item, that means it wasn't there, so I default to 0. So that allows me to be able to set the item whether it's there or not. That will get sent to eventually to the stat UI, and the stat UI will then also do its little update, and it will go through its entire inventory system here, and it will either figure out two different things. Is it will sit there and say, okay, do we have any left? And if we don't have any left, then I want to make sure that you remove the active one. That's where that remove active came from. Otherwise, we're going to build the LIs there, or we're going to build out the different LIs, and the buttons that will allow me to be able to say, this is the image you're going to use, this is the button you're going to use, and this is the text content that you're going to put in there for the particular button. And this button, it contains the amount that you're going to have. And let's see, count. I want to make sure, yeah, okay. And so that's basically what that does there. And so when all that happens, the idea here also is that when there is a click, we're going to do a process inventory select, which is down here. So this is the big one. So when that click occurs, we get what item that we have clicked, and then we're going to figure out which type it is. And then we're going to remove the active one, because in case there was already an active one there, we're going to remove the active one, so that will get sent to the game. The game will go to the world and say, hey, world, there's no more active. And the world will say, okay, I'll get rid of the active. That gets rid of that little cursor thing there. And then we're going to set the active. And so it goes back to the game. Game sends it over to world and says, hey, world, we got a new active. And this is what it is. And that will give us the new active one. So that will give us that cursor that you saw earlier. And then once you click on it, then that will come back up into the update section and update to the count. And if that update happens to be a 0, then we remove that active information. So I wanted to kind of go through that, because that's a really good example of how 3 different pieces of information, the store, the world, and the inventory, all interact with each other, and how all of them are sending out events over to the game for the game to do it. So again, once we do a purchase, let me go to the store screen. Once we do a purchase over here by clicking on one of the buttons, 9, 8, 8, 13, 13, 20, then that will send out information to the game, which is right here. And that game will receive that inventory add, which will then go to the stats, and the stats will then update the inventory and trigger all the callbacks, and the callbacks will go to the stats UI, and the stats UI will sit there and say, okay, we got to update that inventory. Yeah, here we go. First of all, I meant to say, we got to update our inventory first there. Then we did the callbacks. So this then does the inventory UI callback, and that inventory UI then does its update. Inventory UI. It does its update, and if there's no more left, it's going to tell it to remove the active, and if there are, otherwise, it's just going to change the text that you see there. Then, since there's buttons involved with it, and we can see those buttons on the stats screen there. Let me purchase something, and we can. There's not really buttons, but the image itself is the button. Once that gets clicked, then we process what has been clicked. We tell the world that we've removed the active one, whatever was currently there, and then we set the active one to that particular image. And so then that goes up to the game. The game then goes to the world and tells the world, hey, we've got everything has been removed, and the final thing that we're looking at there, or the final result of that, is basically when we click on the arrow, when we click, I got to actually click on the game itself. When we click on the straight, we get a straight. If I was to purchase an extractor, there's our extractor. Let's purchase another extractor. There's another extractor. So I click on the extractor and I put the first extractor there. Notice I still have extractor as my active one, because we still have active extractors. But once I click on the last extractor, we remove that active. So that's pretty much all there is to the inventory section, and it's a beautiful example of how the store interacts with the game, which then interacts with the world, and interacts with the store itself. So that's our video for the store, for the stat inventory. Next video, we're going to be taking a look at the store itself. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to this channel to view more videos. Click on the like button on this video and visit us at TheVirtuoid.com. Also, support us on Patreon, where you can get access to member-only videos. Links are down below. Again, thank you very much for watching, and keep on coding.